Hello, I'm Len Jarvis, contributing editor for Across the Fence, and I'm joined by WCX TV's Sharon Meyer, where we continue our journey in the exotic and amazing country of India. And today, most of our time will be here in Agra, home of the magnificent Taj Mahal.
On our last day in India, we made a new friend, Mahis, and we arrived to see what we'd been waiting to see, the Taj Mahal, which is the crown jewel of palaces built by Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his third wife, Mumtaz. It's widely recognized as the jewel of Muslim art in India and is one of the most admired structures in the world. After many security checks, we entered the sacred grounds through the south gate. We were all anxious and had our cameras ready. And there it was, one of the most impressive structures that you'll ever see. It somehow mesmerizes you, stirs you, awes you, and you wonder how such a treasure was built so long ago. From 1631 to 1653, it took some 20,000 workers to construct this stunning monument, which needs not only to be seen, but also to be felt. For it's a story of love beautifully preserved in marble, and it touches everyone who sees it. As I said, the Taj is dedicated to Shah Jahan's wife, Mumtaz, who died in childbirth. Her final request was for him not to marry again and prove their endless love by building a beautiful and dreamlike mausoleum. The emperor mourned her loss for 2 years, changing his wealthy appearance into one of pure and simple. As promised, he built the Taj Mahal in Agra, in northern India by the banks of the Yamuna River, fulfilling the dreams of his wife and their eternal love. They're now buried side by side under the center of the Great Dome, perhaps making this one of the greatest love stories ever told.
Traveling in India was like no other place we had ever been, and Sharon's husband Rainey and Marco Ayala, the video editor for our show today, would have many stories to tell. It was now on to Nepal, a mountainous country surrounded by China to the north and India to the south, with a population of some 27 million people. 3.5 hours later, we arrived in Nepal's capital city, Kathmandu, fast becoming a major tourist destination as it's a gateway to the Himalayas and Mount Everest. We soon learned that we were in a land far away with few similarities to home. Our guide Niraj Siraj explains.
And here in Nepal, we can sacrifice the 5 different sort of animals. The first one is the water buffalo. Second, the goat. Then sheep, chicken or the rooster, and the duck. Always we sacrifice the male animals for the female divinities. So it is also the symbol of fertility, combining the two energies. Whenever we sacrifice, it's not only to kill the animals, because as we believe in reincarnation, it is also the beginning or to give the better life for these animals.
Kathmandu, the largest city in Nepal, is thought to be the fabled and inaccessible Shangri-La. And in the 1960s, it was Shangri-La for thousands of flower children who followed the hippie trail. And here in Durbar Square is where they congregated to mingle and buy their herb of choice. The hippie subculture was so strong that Freak Street came into being, and 50 years later, it's still here, but now just a part of history. A bustling and historic city with more than 1 million people, Kathmandu has a rich history spanning nearly 2,000 years. Religious and cultural festivals form a major part of the lives of the Nepalese, most following Hinduism with Buddhism close behind. This entire area is designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site as it showcases some of the finest architecture in Central Asia. One of the most important is Kasta Undapa, meaning wood-covered shelter. It is the largest and most noted pagoda in Nepal, built in the 16th century. This is Talaju Temple, where every year a 15-day gathering is held to celebrate the victory of good over evil.
These ancient buildings honor deities of long ago, but did you know Nepal is the only country in the world with a living god and goddess? Our guide Neeraj led us to the Kumar Gar Temple, home of the living goddess, known as Kumari Gar. He explained that if we were lucky enough to see her, she would appear in the very top middle window. Without warning, there she was gazing down on us. Just a child, her eyes were exaggerated with thick lashes reaching back to her temples. She had bright red lips and a symbolic fire eye painted on her forehead. We had just seen a living goddess, and we were left speechless. Her name is Sumitra Bharachara. She was chosen at the age of 5 following a rigorous selection process. She is thought to be an incarnation of the goddess Taleju, the protective deity of Nepal and its royal family. When she ventures outside the palace, she is always carried so her feet will never touch the ground. Petitioners touch them to receive her blessings, and the king himself kisses her feet when he comes to seek her recognition. Upon reaching womanhood, she returns to mortal life, attends school, and could eventually marry and have children, but it must be a very difficult transition.
For me, meeting Kumar, the boy god, was even more memorable as it was so close up and personal. He stays here in the Golden Temple. The Kumar is the main priest and serves only 30 days before handing the job over to another. He was somewhat hidden away, and I happened upon him just by chance while looking for interesting things to photograph. I was happy and excited to get his blessing, but when he touched my forehead, my feelings changed to an emotional and spiritual encounter that brought tears to my eyes, an experience that I'll never forget. Nor this one. A stranger pokes a camera in his face, yet so polite and self-assured. Namaste, little one. Namaste. Now, come along with us and enjoy some of the sights and sounds of Durbar Square.
We'll leave Kathmandu city now to visit Buddhanath, one of the most sacred places in Nepal. It's an important Buddhist pilgrimage center and home to one of the world's largest temples, known as stupas, over here. You cannot avoid ceremony as the air is filled with prayers and sacred smoke that goes into your lungs to cleanse and purify you, with or without your permission. The smoke is from the holy incense that grows in the valley below, sweet and pungent juniper. You are blessed by just walking here. Many elders chant the sacred mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, thousands of times a day, and sometimes the mantra is written on paper and put inside the prayer wheels so that it is emanated. As many times per spin of the wheel as the notes written inside, thus a single spin can be 1,000 mantras. Mantras can fly above your head in the wind blowing these colorful prayer flags. Waving countless times in the breeze, they're believed to spread goodwill and compassion to all their surroundings with each flutter. The windier the better, more prayers for all. Looking down a narrow street, we got our first look at Buddhanath, the largest stupa in Nepal, very impressive in the morning sun. After the arrival of thousands of Tibetan following the 1959 Chinese invasion, the temple has become one of the most important centers of Tibetan Buddhism. Most impressive are Buddha's eyes on all 4 sides that gaze solemnly over the countryside.
We were delayed on our way to the next stupa by an accident on the steep, narrow mountain road typical of those over here. A bus and car had collided. There were no injuries, but all traffic came to a standstill. Finally, the police arrived and sorted things out. The bus driver was blamed for crossing the center line and issued a fine and ordered to move the bus. Fortunately, the car was drivable despite a badly damaged right front end, and we were on our way.
Our next stop was the Great Stupa of Swahianbunath, with 365 steps to reach its mountaintop location. Like Budanath, it's the most holy place visited by thousands of worshippers and tourists like us. But this sacred pilgrimage site is a bit different, as hundreds of rhesus macaque monkeys live here. They're considered holy by Buddhists and Hindus and made visiting the monkey temple quite an experience. Enjoy along with us.
Late in the day, we stopped at Pashupatana, the largest Hindu temple in the world, on the banks of the Bagmati River. It was one of those places that we wanted to see, but not really looking forward to it, as it is the cremation site for Kathmandu, with ceremonies being held 24 hours a day. After being purified with river water, the body is covered with 3 cloths that represent purity, happiness, and the Supreme Being. Only natural things are used to build the fire, like wood, straw, butter, and sugar, and in 3 to 4 hours the body is consumed. Burned within a day of death, the soul is released to a new life, and the heat by which the gods brought the universe into being is rekindled. From my house, I can see Mount Mansfield at 4,393 feet, and that looks pretty impressive. But here in Nepal, that would be considered just a rise on the horizon. From Nagarkot, we can see the magnificent Himalayan mountains on a clear day, with Mount Everest, the highest in the world, at over 29,000 feet.
Nagarkot commands one of the best views of the snow-capped Himalayas in the Kathmandu area, with looks at such major peaks as Manaslu, Ganesh, and Dorji Lakpa. Mount Everest is called Sagarmathe in Nepalese, meaning goddess of the sky. Winds can blow up to 200 miles an hour, and temperatures can fall to 80 below zero. First to reach the top was Sir Edmund Hillary, a New Zealander, back on May 29th of 1955. Now, more than 4,000 climbers have reached the summit, but more than 260 have died trying.
Hard to believe, but our time in Nepal and India has come to a close. And while here, we've learned a lot about this part of the world. Even though they have drastically varying language and religions, they are spiritual, self-sufficient, and quick to smile. And Sharon, what have been some of your favorite things?
Well, Lynn, you know I love the elephant ride, and of course seeing all the camels and the monkeys, and of course the drive through the countryside in Nepal. But it's like Samir told us when we first got on the bus. He said, you come to India and Nepal for an experience, not a holiday. And we have certainly had some wonderful, wonderful experiences.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Sharon. And in closing, a big thanks for joining us on this amazing adventure. And we hope you've enjoyed traveling with us as much as we have making this video for all of you. For Across the Fence, I'm Lynn Jarvis with Sharon Meyer in Kathmandu. Thanks for watching.